everybody, it's Glitter Informer. You might have noticed that today's review is a little different from the others. I'm sorry to have to say it, but from here on out, I plan to make all of the Hirogaru Sky reviews audio only. I really did enjoy editing the videos at first, but it always took so long. Each of the videos took numerous days of several hours each to put together, and it ate up so much of my time because I could never figure out how to get videos up as quickly as other pretty-cure YouTubers. Uploading a full YouTube video every week is now feeling more like a job than my actual job. I don't want to end the Hirogaru Sky review series, but at the same time, I want to have more free time available to do things other than YouTube. So I've decided to compromise by uploading my reviews, but making them audio only from here on out. This will take out what is by far the most time-consuming part of making a review. I know you're all probably very disappointed now, but the show must go on, so let's get into episode 13, shall we? Our episode begins with Elle walking for the first time. It's really sad that Elle's parents have missed out on not just Elle standing for the first time, but also her taking her first step. She's growing up without them. Fortunately, it shouldn't be a problem for too much longer, but we'll get to that later. For now, Kabuto's still in the opening theme for some reason, posing evilly along with his Ronborgs, even though he's no longer a villain. Hopefully they'll update the opening theme eventually to whoever the new villain is going to be. Okay, now for the plot of this episode. Sora, Mashiro, and Tsubasa go to get Elle her first shoes now that she can walk, which is weird because she already has shoes. Though I guess those might just be slippers since they don't have soles. They go to a store that sells baby shoes and show Elle a bunch of different shoes, but she refuses all of them. Elle's kind of a brat this episode, but it's not really annoying since you can't exactly expect emotional maturity from a baby. There's this really interesting part of the scene where Tsubasa blasts Sora and Mashiro for having no fashion sense and says that he, as Elle's knight, knows how to choose the perfect shoes for her. Of course, he fails just as hard as the other two. But it's interesting that Tsubasa is being cocky here because up until now, he's been shy and eager to please. I'm not sure if this is an out-of-character moment for Tsubasa or if Tsubasa's character is developing as he becomes more comfortable around his new friends. Anyways, remember how I said that Elle refused all of the shoes? Well, I lied to you. It turns out that after they try all of the other shoes in the store, there's precisely one pair of shoes that Elle likes. This pair of shoes, however, is currently being bought by this woman who's also shopping in that store. Fortunately, she thinks Elle is really cute and she hasn't paid for the shoes yet, so she gives the shoes to the gang. Sora and Tsubasa are delighted, but Mashiro asks the lady if she really wants to go through with it, since she did choose those shoes as a present for some baby out there. But the woman just says, it's better this way, and walks off. Now Sora isn't too juiced anymore about the shoes they were given. She runs out of the store to try to find the woman and give her the shoes back, but she's already gone. Back at the house, Mashiro notices that Sora is regretful and says that they can just thank the woman if they see her again. But Sora, in true lead cure fashion, shouts that they must track her down and return the shoes to her right now. Tsubasa, in true Princess's Knight fashion, says that they shouldn't do that because Elle really likes her new shoes. I really like how this show is keeping these characters consistent and constantly showing off their personalities through dialogue. But then, it turns out that Yo-Yo finally completed the portal. In order to emphasize that yes, this floating white thingy is a portal, there's a flashback to Kabuto going through the portal in episode 1. This would be all well and good, except Kabuto farts during the flashback, making it impossible to take it seriously. Sora, Tsubasa, and Elle aren't going to go home just yet because Yo-Yo still needs to adjust the settings on the mirror pad, which is what the portal is coming out of. Fortunately, the portal isn't going to disappear, unlike Kabuto's portal. But yeah, it's finally sinking in for everybody that Mashiro's going to have to say goodbye to Sora and Tsubasa because they won't be living with her anymore. Sure, Mashiro can pop through the portal to Skyland at any time, but it's still pretty sad for them. There is something interesting that Yo-Yo says, and it's something that might be foreshadowing a major change in the show. She says that once Elle goes back to Skyland, the Underg Empire won't stop targeting her, so the battleground will shift from Earth to Skyland. So does this mean that a lot more of the show from here on out will take place in Skyland? If so, I am here for it. It's been a good long while since we've last had a fantasy world in Pretty Cure that's more fleshed out than just this is the place where the marketable critter sidekicks come from. In fact, the only time we've had it was in Mahou Sky Pretty Cure back in 2016. In that show, the main characters literally go to school in the magic world for the first part of the series, meaning that of the first 9 episodes, all but one of them take place entirely in another world. Even after that, the girls keep traveling back and forth between the magic world and the no magic world, as it's called. It was a really cool way to set the series apart, and I would love it if the franchise revisited the traveling between two worlds thing. That night, Agaha comes over for her last dinner with Sora and Tsubasa. I mean, we the audience know she's going to meet them again because she's going to become Cure Butterfly eventually, but she doesn't know that. She also stays with them overnight, so it's a sleepover. At dinner, Sora and Mashiro put on a brave face and talk about how excited they are to return Elle home, but it's clear that their smiles aren't genuine. The only one to show how she feels is Elle, who starts crying at the dinner table. Once the girls are going to bed, there's this really neat character moment for Agaha. She pretends to sleep and purposefully snores really loudly in order to make Mashiro and Sora leave the room and have a talk, just the two of them. This really shows how Agaha cares for them and also how she's able to read social situations and react in the best possible way to them. If she'd explicitly come out and said, "Hey, Sora and Mashiro, you guys should talk just the two of you because you've clearly got feelings you need to get out," they would have just been like, "Oh, it's okay, we're fine, really." So she went with the more indirect method of getting them to have a one-on-one talk, and it worked. But Agaha's real goal, getting them to finally open up to one another about how sad they are instead of keeping it bottled up inside, doesn't work. Sure, Sora starts talking about how Earth now feels like a second home to her, but she quickly switches the conversation topic in order to not darken the mood. Agaha, watching from the window, says to herself that they should just let themselves cry. The next day, Sora and Mashiro go out to look for the woman who gave them the shoes, and they leave Tsubasa to take care of Elle. I'm pretty disappointed that he doesn't get to join them. Sure, I get that Mashiro and Sora have great chemistry and are totally gay for one another, but Tsubasa's their friend now too. He's going to miss Mashiro just as much as Sora will. So shouldn't he get to join them on their last day together? Nope. This episode's just going to focus on how much Sora and Mashiro will miss each other. Tsubasa's feelings are irrelevant. It doesn't even make sense in-universe. Can't Yo-Yo take care of Elle? While Tsubasa's busy distracting Elle from the fact that she no longer has her favorite pair of shoes, Sora and Mashiro look through all the baby shoe stores they can find. Once they finally reach the last shop, they just so happen to hear that woman from earlier passing by. So now it's finally time for Sora and Mashiro to find out why she gave up the shoes. From the sad music playing in the background, my guess when first watching this episode was that this woman had a baby, but the baby died. She was going to buy some baby shoes to remember the baby by because the baby died just as they were starting to walk. But upon realizing that Elle, a living baby, wanted the shoes, she decided to give them to her. Fortunately, the woman's story is nowhere near that dark. The real story is that her baby granddaughter learned how to walk recently, but now the baby and her parents are moving overseas, leaving the woman behind. She wanted to buy shoes for her granddaughter before she left, but she knew if she did so, she'd start crying, which would make things harder for the family. So she just decided to pretend that something came up so she could say goodbye over the phone instead and send them off with a smile. Sora and Mashiro tell her that she should go and say goodbye in person and that it's okay to cry. That way, after she's gotten all her feelings out, she'll be able to give them a real smile and a true goodbye. But unfortunately, it's too late now because the woman's family is going to take off soon. Once the woman leaves, Sora and Mashiro go up to the roof and transform. The transformation focuses mainly on Sora because, of course, it does. But then we get to a really interesting use of the Pretty Cure's powers. You may have noticed that there's no villain in this episode, which means no fight scene, but the writers figured out an excuse to have the girls transform anyways. Using their superhuman abilities, Cure Sky and Cure Prism are going to carry the woman to the airport. I've always wanted to see people in Pretty Cure use their magical girl abilities for something other than combat. There are so many possible applications of their powers. Once they get to her, the woman puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that these 2 mystery girls who are helping her get to the airport are the same people as the 2 girls who told her to go to the airport. So Sky and Prism have revealed their secret identities. But it doesn't matter to them because helping this lady out is what's most important. And I'm pretty sure they can trust her to keep it a secret. Thanks to the Cure's help, the woman is able to make it to her family in time. She gives them the shoes and starts crying, but just as Sora and Mashiro said, it's for the best. Her son comes up to her and gives her a goodbye hug. And as a de-transformed Sora and Mashiro watch, they take their own advice to heart and start crying too. And guess what? Sora and Mashiro are able to find a pair of shoes that's identical to the ones they gave back to the woman. It makes sense that those shoes wouldn't be one of a kind. Once they get back, the portal is finally ready. So Sora, Mashiro, and Tsubasa step through the portal, and the episode ends. Our ending theme cameo this week is Cure Miracle from 2016's Hirogaru Sky Pretty Cure. Hey, I just mentioned that one. And I'm gonna be honest here, I hate that Miracle's by herself for this cameo. It made sense for the previous cameos, but Miracle's part of a duo. She literally can't transform without her partner, Cure Magical, by her side. It would have made way more sense if they'd both cameoed together. Liko, who transforms into Cure Magical, appears in the mirror briefly at least, but that's it. At this rate, I'm worried that when we get to the very first season, we'll just have Cure Black by herself, even though Cure Black and Cure White are arguably the most iconic anime duo of all time. With that aside, I liked this episode a lot. As a Calm Before the Storm episode, it was a slower, character-focused one. Although I'm not fond of how Tsubasa was shafted, I love how the show sets up this woman not wanting to say goodbye to her family as a parallel to Sora and Mashiro not wanting to say goodbye to each other. It was a sweet, simple episode with a strong emotional core. Also, I'm really looking forward to next episode where we'll finally return to Skyland and also be introduced to some new characters. Alright, talk to you all next week.